1, 2, 3, testing, testing. Good. Right, sound is clear? Sound is clear? Good. Good. Any questions from the previous classes?
Doctor, how are you?
Yeah.
Nothing, just say hi.
Hello.
With the blackboard, so
What problem do you have?
I couldn't enjoy the class, but now it's okay. It's fine.
Okay. Anybody new today to the class? Is there anybody new to the course? No? Okay, good. Share application screen. Right. Questions from the previous lecture? All good? Right. Do you have access to the, let's see, copy Dropbox link? Right. Okay, so just to remind you that you have access to all the documents here, the syllabus and videos of previous years. And what is it? No, not this one, sorry. This one. Syllabus and previous years videos. And organized. We're following the slides here that we have more or less completed them. And you have also here step-by-step slides and sometimes exercises that you can practice. And so we have covered this, and this. And today we will cover this, which corresponds to a few slides here. And we are going to learn how to use charts to create knowledge to make you smarter. Sounds good? Are you ready? All right, good. So I'm going to use the slides from code S12 to S18. Each one contains 3-4 pages, so it's not a big deal. And you will find the content of these to match various chapters, but mostly chapter 4. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
All right, good. So today we will talk about 3 things. First is how can you use charts to make people smarter? Anybody has some idea? Or why charts make people smarter?
They're easier to follow instead of looking at paragraphs.
Interesting. Somebody else? So why when a human uses a chart, it becomes smarter, or maybe not? Why do you think this happens?
We're also visual creatures.
Nice answer, visual creatures. Can you go deeper into that?
I think also the chart represent their behavior. I don't know.
Yeah, come again. Yeah.
I think they represent their behavior based on the chart. So,
Okay.
so if it's messy, you're a messy person. If it's okay, you're a good person. That's what I meant.
Interesting. Okay, have you heard about this story about the bicycle? Like the human, when a human walks, he's not very efficient using the energy. Actually, the bird or the horse is more efficient than the human. For the same energy, the bird can go further and the horse as well. However, if you put a human on a bicycle, then the human is the most efficient animal on Earth. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Isn't that amazing? And charts are the same. Think about if I ask you a question, how much is 5 plus 11? Anybody?
16.
16. What about if I say, what's the square root of 144? Now you want this, right?
Yes, we need
No, it's
paper.
not. No, it's not. You want this, right? You
Yeah,
want
and we
this?
need calculator also.
For a calculator, right? So the chart is the same and it does the same job for us, but in a slightly different way. So here you have, can you tell me what is this? What do you see here?
A coach coaching their. It's Real Madrid coach, I think. He gave him
Yeah,
the
it could be,
instruction.
yeah, Real Madrid, very good. And what is he? The worst club in the world, right?
No, doctor,
Because
no.
everybody knows Barca is the best.
No, 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 no. Barca, they sold their best player in the world. How they're smart.
Okay, we'll talk about this later. Now, what do you see here about data visualization? I see
The
this,
map,
and if you look, yeah, if you
the
look at
map
any
of the
movie, they always have this. Why do they have this?
They give them
it's to show
instructions.
this.
No, structures like the striker, which he do, and when he, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a plan,
But why don't he talk? That's it.
So they can visualize the strategy.
That's what I meant. Visualize the strategy. Yes.
Yes, but that's not the whole story. Not only visualize it, but also something else. And this something else is about this. A normal human has 100 IQ points in general. But when you put a human with a chart, it becomes, or it can become, a more powerful human in many ways, communication and other stuff. And the reason here we say, yeah, they can visualize, it's not only visualizing, they can use it as a memory. It's because if the coach says something, after 5 seconds or 10 seconds, people forget, right? Especially if there's a lot of data. But if he says something and he puts it on a post-it or on this board, it stays there and people can watch it. And then suddenly it's like an expanded memory for everybody. And memory is a very important predictor of IQ. And that is one of the reasons that charts make you smarter. Is not only the visualization, which it is, but it's also that you can use the chart as a working space where your concepts, ideas are there, and then suddenly your memory, it is bigger. That is the reason why people with a pen and a paper can do complex calculus, because they use this as an extended memory. Like when you give your computer an extended memory boost. Do you agree with this?
Yes, I agree.
Somebody has a comment? Right, wonderful. So let's see, using this as a foundation of today's class, let's see 5 famous charts that changed the world. Are you ready? Do you know any famous chart, by the way? Business charts. So here's one from 1968. This is called the growth share matrix, super famous in business. It was invented by an employee in the Boston Consulting Group in 1968. And here it is. What you do with this chart is do you think I can paint here?
Yeah, you can.
I'm going to paint because I'm a painter. Wonderful. So what you do here in the x-axis is you it's the market growth. So how fast are you growing every year? Yes. And here in the x-axis, sorry, here you put your market share, like how much market share does your company have? Sounds good? Yeah. And look at this, starts by high and goes to low. Okay, and it's logarithmic scale. That doesn't matter, right? So 10, 1, 0, 1, that's logarithmic, right? Because it decreases 10 times for each unit. Sounds good? And then you put your competition as dots here. Yeah. And so this helps people clarify the following. Let's look at it. I'm going to maximize now. And then when you place your competition here, you can classify your competition by categories, and you can divide it in four quadrants. And for example, here we have what we call the cash cows companies. Can somebody tell me what is the characteristic of a cash cow according to the X and Y axis?
They sell fast.
Come again? Yes.
They sell fast. That's why they are cash cow.
They sell a lot, right?
Yes.
Because they have high market share, right?
Right.
But they don't grow very fast. Yeah. So these are companies like, can you give me an example of a cash cow? Coca-Cola.
Oh, right. Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola doesn't grow a lot, but it's very big, right? So big market share, not a lot of growth. It makes
What
a ton
about
of money. Yes.
what about Facebook?
Facebook, very good. Facebook is becoming
Also
a
Apple.
cash cow.
Apple.
Apple is totally a cash cow already. Yeah, it's not growing a lot. It's not growing 100% every year, right? It's growing 20%. Not bad. Yeah. So what else? Cash cows. Toyota, cash cow. Right. So cash cows. So according to American management style, cash cows, what do? You don't invest too much money. You just take money out of the company. Like a cow. Yeah, you milk the cow. Sounds good? Next category we have are the stars. These are companies with high market share and that they are still growing a lot. Yes, can you tell me an example?
PlayStation?
PlayStation, yeah. So if it's growing every year more than 20%, whatever, and it's huge, perfect example. Facebook 5 years ago, right? Instagram 10 years ago. TikTok now, right?
Oh yeah, TikTok definitely.
Definitely TikTok is a star, right?
Yes.
Very good. They're not making a lot of money, but they're growing a lot and they're quite big already. Then you have what we call the dogs. I know in Arabic culture, the dog is considered
بس ميمي بس روزا خلاص لا تصيحينها شوفي اخترب
somebody's
لك
crying. Did he cry because the dog or what? What's happening? Mariam. Mariam. Right. Okay.
Not me, doctor, not me. The other Mariam.
So I think the dog is considered. What is it considered the dog in the culture? Like not
Nokia, I
a
think.
pure.
Nokia?
No.
I
So
think.
anyway, dogs are companies. So in America, dogs are companies. So dog is a pet, right? It's very cute. It's nice to have.
But
From
it won't
American
have
perspective.
market growth.
But it costs you money. That's it.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's nice to have, but it costs you money, basically, because you have to buy food and stuff like that. So these are companies that don't have a lot of market growth and they are not big in the market. So maybe they will die soon, or they're not, from a business point of view, they're not very valuable. Yes, so dogs, yes, they call it dogs. Can you give me an example of a dog company?
Food companies, I think, food products. Or no?
Yeah, okay, yeah, good. Not famous ones, yeah, like, yeah, okay.
I would
I
say
don't know.
Nokia, but it's not a good example. Nokia.
Restaurants, for examples. Nokia could be a very good example because the market share of Nokia now is like 10, less than 10%. It kind of disappeared and it's not growing. Yeah, yeah, very good. Restaurants, for example, right? Restaurants, one restaurant, a normal restaurant, a family-owned restaurant, right? Its market growth not very high because it doesn't scale, and very small market share. Sounds good?
Or
So
maybe
these companies from
BlackBerry.
BlackBerry in 2000, BlackBerry now, it's not growing
Yeah,
and has no
BlackBerry
market
now.
share. Yeah, okay, good. And then you have companies in the last quadrant, the top quadrant, which are called question marks, right? So these could be companies that grow a lot and they're still small, right? Like a typical startup that you don't know what is going to happen. All right, good. What do you think about this growth share matrix? Do you like it?
Yes, it's more understandable for me.
It's
Yeah.
not, and what is the cognitive trick here? The cognitive trick is that you may have maybe 50 companies here, dots, but by classifying them in 4 groups, you make sense of what's going on. You created meaning by using memes like cows, dogs, stars, and question marks. If you are in Dubai, then maybe there's no cows here, so you would use a camel, I guess, and instead of a dog, you would use a cat. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Wonderful. This is for, it's an American culture, right? So that's probably the most famous chart in the world that you must know if you go to work for management consulting companies, McKinsey stuff. This is a typical chart that they use to understand what's going on in the market, and then you place your company wherever you are, and then you know where you are in the map, and then you know where you want to go. Second one, do you know this guy?
No, I don't know him.
Clayton Christensen was a very religious person and a professor at Harvard, very serious person. And well, he studied this. Do you know what's this? You Generation Z. Do you know what's this?
Isn't it like
Floppy disk.
memory cards?
And a floppy disk, right?
Yeah. What is this? What is this?
This is a floppy disk, I think.
Well, what
Floppy.
is it? What's a floppy disk?
It's a memory. Old-fashioned memory card. Right?
Old-fashioned memory card.
Very
Okay,
old-fashioned.
That's so funny. Good. So anyway, he studied memory disk. So the one on the left was the first generation, second generation, third generation. And this is a very interesting study because the companies that make this before, first they make the big one, right? And after a few years, they have to decide a few things. First, switch to the new format and stop doing this one, or keep doing this one and not do the new format, right? So you imagine you have factories. When do you switch? When is the optimal time to not lose money? And then also when to switch to the next format to produce, yeah? So this is the same problem that car companies have now. We have electric cars and we have gasoline cars, and they have to decide, do we stop doing gasoline cars and we do electric cars, or we delay it, or we do it fast, or what? This is called the innovation dilemma, and it applied to this floppy disk industry in 1970s, and it applies now to the car companies, 2021. And you'd be surprised that the companies keep doing the same mistakes. Some companies are don't want to innovate. They don't want to make electric cars because they're comfortable doing the old thing. And the same thing happened with the floppy disk, even though looking back now, it's obvious that you should move as fast as possible to do new formats. The problem, and you will understand this more when you work in companies, is that when you're in a company, you have a group of engineers that are very good at this one, and suddenly you come and say, hey, we should do this one, but they are not good at doing this one. And then they will hate you for that. And then they don't want to do it until there's a crisis or the company closes and so on. And that's called the innovation dilemma. That's when the manager, the boss of the company, has to really take leadership and do things. This is a topic for another subject, ITCO 602, sorry. But anyway, how did he visualize this, Peyton? So he did a very, very famous chart. So he plotted here this capacity, yeah, y-axis, and here the year. And let's see what happened. So this black disk is called 14-inch drive technology. It's quite big, like this. And it was good for mainframe market. And this is how much this technology, the black disk, was improving every year, right? So 100 megabytes, and then that's more or less what this technology could achieve. Then in 1979, there was this new technology. This is the red disk here. And the red disk is a new technology, and at the beginning is worse, but we know that in a few years it will be better than and cheaper than what the market needs. But this technology was very good for mini computer market. And then you have the new technology C. This is the blue disk, smaller and less capacity, but you know that you see how it grows faster and cheaper, right? And so the companies had to decide how, when to switch, because in a few years this technology will make the other obsolete because it's cheaper and it's good for both markets. And so these curves are called the innovation curves. And it's a very good example to visualize what a company should do. You could do the same curve for cars, for example. You could plot gasoline cars and how much they improve every year. You could say, for example, the price or the price per mile. Yes. And then you could plot the electric car. And of course, the electric car at the beginning is more expensive, but we know that in the future, electric cars will be cheaper than gasoline cars because they have fewer parts. And this is a law of engineering, right? And so if you can plot this chart well, then you can predict when it will be the time that electric cars will be cheaper than gasoline cars. And then if you own a car company, you can kind of use this to foresee the future and say, okay, when should we switch? Sounds good? Very, very famous. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 4 minutes in Miro. Would you like to chart the car innovation curves for the car industry? Sounds good?
Wait,
ready?
what do you want us to do, doctor? In Miro?
I want you to do this exercise for the car companies.
Okay.
You ready? So let's go to Miro and I will make groups. I will make 3 groups. 3 groups. Sounds good? So I'm going to split you in 3 groups. And in Miro, I'm going to make 3 frames. Yeah, it's very good. Awesome. So let's find a place to work on Miro. Let's go to this quadrant here. I'm going to make a frame for you. Frame 12. So before group 1, I will post here. So what you have to do here is to change the units and what you measure in x-axis. I would keep the x-axis as time. You can draw your own axis, and you have to figure out what to draw in axis y. I guess you want to some key performance indicator of the car industry. I guess cost per mile, cost per trip. Maybe you want to do accidents per million miles, some KPI indicator. And I'm gonna break you into rooms here. Okay, here, breakout groups, 2 groups of 4 attendees, 3 groups of 4 attendees, allow attendees to switch group, shuffle attendees. Let's do it.